Fairfield, Jefferson County, Alabama. Emmetta Jean Dumas, called Jean, 32 years old, had worked as a secretary for Alabama Power. Jean was last seen in Fairfield by her parents. She had stopped by their home to make arrangements to go shopping the following day with her mother and sister. On August 1st, 1980, Jean had gone to the store with her estranged husband, Leroy, to buy shoes for their infant daughter. After that, he said the two, along with their baby daughter, went for a burger. Jean told her, Leroy, the following day, she was supposed to go shopping with her mother and sister. Jean's sister was not able to contact her and went to the home the next day. Jean's car was in the driveway. When she entered the home, Jean's daughter was found on the floor, naked and crying, with a diaper feet away and an empty bottle. You could smell cleaning chemicals in the air. Jean was nowhere to be found. Her bedspread was missing, and her house and car key were gone. Jean's family thought there was blood on the carpet. Police would say the stains were not blood, but juice. The family doesn't know if the stains had even been forensically tested to rule out Jean's blood. Police questioned Leroy. He said he picked Jean up with the baby around 6:30 p.m. They went to Roebuck Shopping Center for the shoes, had a burger on the Green Springs Highway. He said he had taken her home, came inside, and stayed for 20 to 30 minutes. Jean told him that she was having dinner with her ex-husband, which was her first husband, Warren King. He said the two hadn't argued about it. When the police spoke with Warren King, he did confirm plans that were made for dinner, but he said Jean never showed up. He would call her throughout the evening up until 6:30 a.m. He said he just gave up. King was never a suspect in his ex-wife's disappearance. In 1994, King was shot to death under indictment of trail rigging conspiracy. Emma Jean Dumas hadn't been seen in over 42 years. She would be 74 years old if she was alive today. This is a quote that I read from Reddit by a family member. Quote, I was born after my great aunt disappeared, but my grandmother is the sister mentioned in the article. This is a delicate situation because I feel like the ball may have been dropped on my family by the local police. She always told me that she thought that Leroy murdered Aunt Jean because he found out that she was seeing her ex-husband, Warren King. The crazy thing is that the sheriff suggested to my grandmother that since Leroy worked construction, that he could have hidden her body somewhere in one of those buildings that stand, and they could only find her if they were to tear them down. My grandmother maintains that there was blood on that carpet, but the sheriff told her that it looked like juice and said that the stains were never tested. Unquote. The article went on to read that after the disappearance, Leroy was constantly staying around the family. When he was questioned about the disappearance of Jean, he refused to answer anything, and he was not concerned with the missing of his estranged wife. On top of this, Leroy hadn't even taken care of his daughter that he had with Jean, which was now left motherless. Jean had said if something was to have ever happened to her, she did not want her daughter around Warren or Leroy. The article also stated that Leroy had done bizarre things and he always acted somewhat strange. Someone believed to be a cousin of Leroy had called the grandmother shortly after the disappearance of Jean and said, quote, "If you hadn't called the police, she'd already be back," unquote. Yes, I believe Leroy was angry that she was still seeing her ex-husband that she divorced. And remember, her and Leroy was not divorced. They were estranged, which means they were not living together. The culprit, unfortunately, is right here. But it seems that he may have gotten away with the crime by avoiding prison time. But I hope karma had taken him through there while he was living. And if he is still living, I hope that karma continues. Rest in peace, Jean. Tacoma, Washington, Margaret Elaine Diaz, 32 years old. She disappeared on July 4th, 1988. Margaret was celebrating her 32nd birthday, which falls on July 4th. She was with her family and her 3 children. It's noted that she lived a high-risk lifestyle, which means she was either prostituting or may have dabbled in drugs, or perhaps both. She would be 66 years old on her birthday, July 4th, 2022. She's been missing now for 34 years. It was very limited amount of information I could find on Margaret Diaz. She is biracial, black, and white. She had brown hair and green eyes, and she was 5'5" and 125 pounds when she went missing in 1988. Fort Worth, Texas, Taalibah Islam. She went missing since January 16, 2006. The Islam sisters knew Christopher Revelle from high school. It would be after high school that Taalibah and Revelle had gotten reacquainted with each other and started dating. They dated for about 2 years. During those 2 years, Revelle had gotten extremely violent. Taalibah and Revelle's relationship was toxic and very physically abusive. In 2005, there was a domestic disturbance call where Revelle had punched Taalibah in the stomach and in her head while she was pregnant. She would put a restraining order on Revelle. However, sometimes when women believe that they're in love, those restraining orders are simply just pieces of paper. The day Taalibah had given birth, Revelle came up to the hospital to see his child. Taalibah's mother ordered him to go away. The family no longer liked Revelle, nor wanting him around Taalibah, but they couldn't stop it. On January 16th, Taalibah went to drop off the baby so that Revelle could spend some time with his son, witnessed by Revelle's own sister. The couple had gotten into an argument and Revelle punched her in the jaw. She had told him, "I think you broke my jaw." She called her best friend to ask for a ride. Whether the friend arrived is unclear to me. The friend did say she was whispering on the phone that she needed a ride. Revelle then called Islam's sister and said that Taalibah had left the baby and he needed someone to come and take care of the child. And that Taalibah had left in a dark green 4-door sedan with a person that he did not know. He even went as far as to fill out a police report. Taalibah Islam is a black woman with red hair and brown eyes. Taalibah's sister would raise her child. 10 years later, Christopher Revell is back on the scene. He's dating a 25-year-old woman by the name of Typhenie, nicknamed Tiff or Pippi. Typhenie knew Revell as C-Note or Big Chris. She was introduced to Revell when she had found out her and another woman were dating the same guy. The other woman would introduce Typhenie to her brother, Revell. He had just got out of prison in 2015 for assault, they're calling it common assault, and was staying at his parents' house. Revell, in a short amount of time, was cold to Typhenie. The family speaks on an incident where Typhenie's car wasn't working and she needed a ride, and she asked Revell to take her. He said he was too busy because he was playing video games. They describe Revell as jealous, controlling. He controlled her to the point where he controlled how much makeup she would put on. He would complain and controlled what she would wear. And he blamed her for everything that was going wrong in his life. Whenever she was told that she just couldn't take it anymore from him, she'd want to break up, but he'd still come around. After 6 months, Typhenie, she just couldn't take it anymore, and she just wanted to end this relationship. On October 10th, 2016, Typhenie and her twin brother, they shared an apartment with the twins' girlfriend as well. They all had an apartment together. Typhenie had a new guy that she'd met coming over. Around that same time, Revell decided to come over unexpectedly. So now you have the new guy in Typhenie's life and Revell, who had showed up unexpectedly, saying that he wanted to get some of his belongings. So Revell is now inside the apartment with Typhenie, and they started to argue. They would take the argument outside. Typhenie at this point is still trying to tell Revell it's over, but he just simply wouldn't get it. Her brother and her brother's girlfriend, they would keep looking over the balcony to make sure everything was okay. I guess at this point they knew that Typhenie had a very volatile relationship with Revell. Typhenie had actually went outside with her keys in her hand, her cell phone in her hand, and she was barefooted. She just had on socks. So basically, she's coming right back in. She's not really trying to stay outside and entertain Revell any longer. Asher is the name of Typhenie's twin brother. So Asher would keep looking over the balcony to make sure everything was okay. At this point, the argument, he could hear bits and pieces of it. And he saw how they were kind of going on the side of the building, but I guess he could still hear them, is the way the article was describing it. When he looked outside, after he kept calling Typhenie on her cell phone, she wasn't answering, so he decided to go out and see what was going on. He stayed some distance because at this point he probably wasn't trusting Revell at all. He saw Revell back up his white Ford Taurus. The doors are open. The trunk's hood was open. Astor believed that he may have had a weapon. He wasn't sure, but again, he wasn't going to approach. He saw Revell looking around the area, then he would close everything, and then he would pull off. Astor went immediately over to the area, and that's where he saw a single sock left by Typhenie. Her phone was there in the grass, and her keys were still on the top of her car. Panicked, Astor called Ravel and told him to return. I'm pretty sure he asked where his sister was. Then he would call the police. When the police got there, Astor again would try to call Ravel to get him to return back to the apartment. The police had got on the phone and told Ravel to come back. It would take 90 minutes for Ravel to return back to the apartment complex. When he arrived, Ravel is described as sweating profusely. The officer would ask Ravel why was he sweating so much. He replied that it was hot outside. It was actually a cool day. It was 64 degrees. Ravel even denied backing his car up to the building. He denied harming Typhenie. He would say Typhenie had gotten the car with someone and left. He had no idea who this person was. 25 minutes away, the police would go to Ravel's parents' house. Checking the backyard, they would find a woman's shirt, a broken Fitbit clasp, and items that Ravel's parents hadn't seen until that night. None of these items were noted to have belonged to Typhenie or Ravel's parents. No DNA was found inside Ravel's trunk. Ravel was hostile around this time. He was saying he had nothing to do with whatever they was trying to pretty much put on him. He would be arrested on kidnapping charges. Now, as the story would go top story in Texas, Taalibah's sister, Bacardi Islam, who is now taking care of the child that Taalibah had with Ravel. She couldn't believe, after 10 years, the man that was responsible for her sister's disappearance and possibly death was now on the news again. So now we have two young women that have something in common, two things in common. Beautiful dimples, and they also dated Christopher Ravel, a very abusive man, and they went missing because of it. Typhenie's mother, Deb Johnson, she believes that her daughter was sold into sex trafficking. I read an article that was dated June 8th, 2022, where she believes that. And I must say, I understand it completely. You would rather believe your daughter is alive somewhere than died by the hands of her boyfriend. The police believe that Christopher Ravel killed both women and hid them in a wooded area. Taalibah Islam was killed 16 years ago. She was killed 10 years ago, before Typhenie. The police do believe that the women were buried together. It's no doubt. He felt that he had Taalibah's body hidden somewhere. After all these years, nobody came across it, so now he can put Typhenie right with her. Horrible. Taalibah Islam was the youngest, but the tallest and the skinniest of her two sisters. She always had a big smile on her face. She was a class clown and full of jokes, is what her sister, Bacardi Islam, says, while referring to her sister that she knows is no longer here. Typhenie Johnson, the youngest, of 3 other siblings, and she has a fraternal twin brother who has favorite pets listed as elephants and penguins. She would learn how to ride and roller skate when she was 4 years old, and she was a tomboy. Both of these families still look for them today, while Christopher Revel sits in prison for the rest of his life. They are wanted, they are loved, they are missed,